This is your weekend market review for Saturday, June 22nd, 2024. Let's go. Hey everyone, this is my channel to help investors and traders develop a probability-based mindset to succeed. Also try and keep friends informed of what's going on in the markets and the economy, and also a little real estate content as well. This is Dan Max at eXp Realty, aka the Trading Agent, and this is your weekend market review for Saturday, June 22nd, 2024. Let's get into it. We talked about the roller coaster of the week that was coming. Are you surprised by the action? You shouldn't be. If you've been following the channel, you get some great insights. If you're in the Discord room, you have even better insights. Some of the folks are absolutely nailing it. Shout out to you guys, all the homies. Well, we know going into next week, we've got some economic data getting close to the end of the month, end of the quarter. OPEX, CHOPEX, whatever you want to call it. They absolutely tried to kill the VIX, but they couldn't. There was really no downside. So going in next week, got a lot of economic data. You've got a few names, FedEx, Micron, Nike are interesting earnings. And then, again, you're getting close to the end of the month. So, I mean, the last day of the month is what, next Monday? So, I guess the last day of the month is Friday. So be careful, because we can talk about the phenomenon. If the last day of the month is a Friday and the market's been up, can be a sell the month, sell the quarter, sell everything kind of day. We'll see what happens. Again, I'm anticipating, again, more choppiness. I feel like, again, we've talked about high volume highs, rebalancing, markets all in, people are going all in. I mean, retail, I think this here showing the amount of retail money in the market is at an all-time high. Not surprised at the highs. Let's see what happens here. Again, be careful. If you're new to the channel, want to check out the Discord room, links description below. Follow on Twitter, posting a ton of stuff. If you have any questions, want to reach out, hit me up. Use the Calendly link. I apologize. Hit me up. The link is in description. Check out thetradingagent.com if you want to join. Get your Marcus get your 5.5%. Man, I'm telling you, there's going to be some broker that's going out of business. I don't think it's going to be inactive brokers. Use the promo code if you want some of the tweets, record, recommended readings, videos, all there. Please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. It means the world to me. It really does. Oh no, this looks like an ad there. Yep. So if you have any questions, again, don't hesitate to reach out. Always here to help. Let's get into it. Bitcoin, or sorry, not Bitcoin, but CME watch tool. I apologize, my browser closed and I didn't reopen all the tabs. When we're going into July meeting, nothing expected. Again, the only way that I will say, give credit to potentially any rate cut is if the economic data continues to slow. Again, I continue to review the data as I talk to you guys about. This one is genuinely the most concerning to me. Housing starts and building permits are coming down. We've talked about how sales are slowing. We've talked about, again, in real estate, it's very obvious. Be careful, because commercial's already crap. We talked about banking, the bank stocks looking like very scary to me, potentially holding all the bags, especially the junior banks. Black swan event, credit event, bank something, global, I don't know, geopolitical risk. You tell me, y'all. Just be careful out there. I'm telling you right now, if you were bullish, be careful. Oil, we talked about, oversold, bounce. Again, long term, I'm still on record saying the same thing. I do not expect there to be negative futures prices if there is a pullback. I just don't. I expect, again, we have to refill the SPR. There's going to be downside, but it will be limited. Bitcoin, as we talked about, I don't trust this stuff until the Feds pivot. And here we go. Big, choppy, sloppy range. Watch what happens when we get back into this green range. Could play this game for a while. Natural gas. If you bought natural gas and played the upside, we talked about it. There was not any downside really down here. Near term, again, choppy, sloppy. Wouldn't be surprised by a pullback if the market does do the lambada backwards. Don't be surprised if you see some action back near the lows. Again, trade around your positions. Dollar. Talked about how the petrodollar tie is over. Curious to see how it happens. As I've gone on record, I say almost every video, the dollar is the best turd in the toilet. All the other currencies, in my opinion, are just as bad, if not terrible. Hence why the dollar is floating. All the other currencies are turds that are at the bottom of the bowl. It's just a matter of when maybe they get flushed, question mark. That's what I would ask yourself. TLT. Again, I'm anticipating rates to go lower sometime going into the election. If you're looking to buy a house, refinance, do whatever, you want to invest in real estate, you're looking to buy, you need to sell, you need help, reach out. I'm telling you right now, TLT looks, again, will it break out? I don't know. It's the summer, could be choppy, but I'm telling you, be ready. If you're looking to do anything in the real estate market, do not have your head buried in sand. Do not start reacting once rates already start coming down, because that's going to be too late. Because then you're going to be flustered trying to chase the action and buying a house, selling a house, refinancing, having a great mortgage lender. If you want to get one of those, you don't want to be just running into it. You want to be mentally planned. You want to know, like, hey, this is what happens. If interest rates get to 4.5%, I need a refinance. If I want to buy a house, I'm waiting for interest rates. I need to be identifying properties so that in areas, so that when things happen, I know exactly what's available. I'm ready to go. I know what to expect. Boom, shakalaka. So again, I think interest rates will be going lower. And again, they will be more what I would consider like the speed, the velocity. Maybe it ends up being like the 2008. And again, that was a housing crash. But again, what happens with the TLT, right? TLT rises with big fear. This is what I'd be curious of. I'd be very careful. If you're not prepared, if you're not mentally, emotionally prepared, and you just chase doing whatever you need to do with interest rates, you're going to talk yourself out of doing it, and then you're going to regret it. VIX, as we talked about, bottoming out. I mean, I'm impressed that this gap didn't hold. I mean, we talked about the fill in the 20-day, but all right. I mean, there's little risk down here, in my opinion. Take your profits. I mean, little risk mean hedge. Be careful. Little risk to short. If you pick the right stocks, you identify the right levels. Now, again, if you're shorting the major players that have been doing well, again, you got to be careful to find your risk. There's no such thing as certainty in the markets. SPY, talked about again, last week was going to be probably up to start the week, down the end of the week. Look at that. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. This candle, I'm telling you, high volume. Keep an eye on it. QQQ. Here we go. Same kind of thing. Watch the action. We talked about the IWM lagging. Well, again, I'm not surprised they pin it to the biggest round number possible within the vicinity, 200 for OPEX. But it's lagging, guys. DIA, this thing has been lagging. This was leading once. Not surprised we talked about these levels for it to bounce. Again, know the trend lines, know your levels. Again, because you could argue bullish or bearish. Again, to me, the argument for bearish is they have the best risk. Argument for bull is, I guess, if you're trading leaders and they're leading, do what they got to do. Gold, talked about this. Don't trust it. Don't trust it. It's going to be choppy and sloppy. Silver, again, up one. Again, I said this, oversold. They're probably going to try to crush puts that have been coming into quad OPEX. Now people bought calls and beat them. Same thing, GDX. We talked about this. Oversold bounce, GDXJ, oversold bounce, hit some levels. Just keep, again, I don't trust these names. If you want to play the freaking trampoline, roller coaster, whatever you want to call it, go right ahead. AEM, this one's been a leader, pulling back. AG should be leading, not leading at all. Looks like absolute trash. Tells you a lot about silver's future, near term at least. Newmont, chopping around. This thing should be at 80s and past. This one had been doing really well, but pulling back. Not surprised. Taiwan Semi, again, I think you have to be high to your mind to be buying this stock. Talked about the arrow from last week. Is this a blow off top? I mean, honestly, again, I've been wrong. And this is the thing. I'm not sitting here just continuing to short if I'm wrong. But we talk about, like, again, you've got to be out of your mind. Because I don't think China is going to sit back. I mean, they're sitting back waiting for the election, but their intentions, I don't trust. Micron, if that's not the top, I don't know what the hell is. And now, again, we got some options squaring out stuff and position squaring on Friday. Earnings coming up on Wednesday after the close. Be careful, Micron. AMD, this thing has been the biggest laggard of, well, I guess maybe Intel, of the semi name that everyone loves. Not surprised we talked about how everyone had hated it. Not hate, but they're probably buying puts and shorting. Of course, they popped it and then they pulled it right back. NVIDIA said, keep this on the watch list to short up here. I mean, this is the blow off of blow offs, right? Look at this. Goes from freaking, remember, pre-split, post-split. Post-split 11 to 140. Options, expiration, potential tops. Now, again, could you get some chop to end the quarter, end of the month? People chasing performance? Absolutely. That candle to me says game over. And game over meaning at worst chop. Invest, it could get burned. SMCI, again, if you're trading this, love it. Talked about in the Discord room. I know some homies trading it. J Solstice for sure. Look at that. Breaks out of the channel or breaks out of the range, gives it right back. I'm pretty sure he probably scooped 100 points here. Nice trade. 100-day to the blowout. Easy peasy. Just trade around it. Intellectual property. Again, here's to me the biggest piece of turd out there. Going nowhere. Not surprised by some volume on a Friday. Position squaring. Keep an eye on it. Again, I don't think it's really going anywhere. If it does go anywhere and NVIDIA drops, then maybe they're rotating some money. SMH, here you go. That looks like a top to me, my friends. Adobe, again, we said 3-day rule, watching it. Need to break the 100-day, didn't break it, so you're not shorting it. Now, if you want to short it, of a reference, you have to use the 534 where we basically got to. Or could you wait for the 200-day? I mean, again, I like it. Apple, the fruit of our labor. Talk about this is a blow off, chasing, repositioning. Look at that volume, y'all. Again, OPEX, so it's a little bit probably heavier than it should be, but keep an eye on it. Amazon. Oh, keep in mind too, NVIDIA, like I was saying this, like insiders are selling at the fastest, at incredible rates. So just be careful. Amazon, this is a good one. Jay Souls was talking about the call action on. Again, it made sense holding the 20-day, been chopping for a while. If it gets over 189, I don't know why it wouldn't go up to maybe 200, 210. I don't know. Again, if the market holds up, it's not going to fall. That's for sure. It looks strong. If I was going to play an up trade, I agree. Sometimes the positioning on these things based on the options and what in the action, right? Meta, this one again is in between. Wait for the 100-day. Watch what happens when it gets to 513. CRM, we talked about this being oversold. Probably a ton of puts bought for earnings, post earnings, and they got burned. And now again, I'd be watching 546. Guggenheim holding up pretty well. Long wick, keep an eye on it. Is that a double top? Good question. Microsoft again. It's interesting chasing the performance of the names, but the rest of the market looks like boo-hoo. Keep an eye on this. Again, 450. Again, that's probably not the name I'd be shorting. NDAQ, I saw this rip on the close. I was like, okay, man, if this gets back in the mid-60s, I'm shorting this thing and I'm disappearing. MicroStrategy, we've talked about this Bitcoin, kind of stuck. Watch the 50-day. If Bitcoin, I mean, again, I think at some point you will get back down to these levels. It's just, again, if Bitcoin holds up. Netflix, people chasing this one. I don't see any growth. I mean, none. But hey, guess what? If you want to pay high valuations for a streaming service, you go right ahead. Roblox, talked about this one being oversold when it popped down, rallying around. I mean, it's a big choppy mess. PanW, again, we like it. Cybersecurity, there is issues. We saw a certain thing about the auto dealers being shut out of their software this weekend. Again, Nancy Pelosi's buying this stock. This is one that I would be watching. Again, if it breaks over, it goes. And if it fails, great. I want to buy it on a discount. Tesla, as we've talked about, good luck with this one. It was 100-day was the trade, chopping around. I mean, you missed the boat on the long. Like it might digest for more years or time. And again, I would just be patient. Insight, as we talked about, like the stock, somebody's doing something with it. Gap up. Again, longer term, zoom out. Stock was once at what, 100 and something? Yeah. Still at 60s. Again, it's a double bottom biotech that I think has buyout potential only because, again, I mean, market cap makes sense. Their products seem solid. And they, if you go look at the public data, they got things in the pipeline. McDonald's gapped up on Friday. Okay. Held the range lows. No trade here to short yet. I'd be probably watching the 50-day. DKNG, again, we talked about this guy popping post, the playoffs are done. Here you go. Man, I was really hoping for a retest. Oh, well. Watch the 50-day again. I think this thing is just trending lower. Next low would probably be, I don't know if you want to draw it out, right? Try to draw some sort of channel. Maybe 30. Not a bad trade. You get on it at the right prices. It stops. Airbnb. Chopping around. I mean, there's really nothing to say about that one, Really not much. Costco. This one's interesting because, again, we talk about tops during options expiration or first of the month. I mean, this thing has been on fire. Keep an eye on that. Starbucks, we've said the 50-day seems to be compressing under there. Your guess is as good as mine. Again, we talked about leaving this thing alone. It got down. We talked about being oversold. It's really one of those things where it's like, ugh. It's tough to know. I mean, again, I think it will go lower. FedEx, I'd be on watch on this one. Because, again, if they have earnings, after being, this was their, I think, last earnings action, there's going to be some squeezing here. I didn't realize their earnings was on Tuesday. So, again, if I was you, I'd be watching probably this 270 area. I wouldn't be surprised. I have my alarm there. I think we need to move that thing up. Come here, little buddy. I don't know, 267, whatever. Keep it on it. Caterpillar, again, another global growth name, indicating lagging. Nucor, this one's been, looked like it was going to break out, gave it all back. Coming back down again. Nothing goes down in a straight line. It's probably going to be in the choppy consolidation mode. X, again, I like it holding 36, but again, I think they get bought out, but I would not be surprised if they don't get the takeout target as soon as possible. It could get throttled. VALE, we've talked about this one being absolutely a global growth proxy back at levels that make sense. But man, I don't want to see it here with the market near 52-week highs. That doesn't make me feel good and snuggly and happy. I want to buy something. I want, Arrow, here we go. Talked about copper gapping down. You saw it in the other copper names. CCJ, again, I think nuclear is a great idea. I just don't like when Goldman Sachs starts upgrading their stocks at the highs after a huge run. CF, again, we like ag. People got to eat, player. People got to eat. Not so much like these stocks. Let them play around. Let them chop. Just don't get too excited. Mosaic, NTR. Be careful, okay? Promise me. Aaron. Here you go. Choppy. Again, we talked about this one popping, being oversold near term. Your guess is good as mine. Again, I love aluminum long term. I think it's going to be a big player in the commodity future of rebuilding and everything that we're talking about. Who wins the tech war? It's not tech. It's the inputs, which are commodities. We are underinvested. The story just never ends. It's just a matter of when. And again, if you go back and look at historical periods of when this does start, it's when the Feds pivot, and the Feds have not pivoted. That's when there will be opportunities to buy commodities then. XLF, as we talked about, oversold, 100-day, chopping around. Again, JP Morgan posted this, said, check the channel high out. Boom. Nice. Again, if Jamie Dimon's not buying stock back, neither should you be buying the stock. Morgan Stanley, there's your top. Chopping around near term. Looks like it might be reloading to go lower. Bank of America holding up at highs. This one's tough to tell. But I mean, again, the volume from you got to be careful Friday. OPEX volume. It's not always clear. But again, there's position squaring. Goldman Sachs, same thing. Channel high. Carry, we've talked about how junior banks look like absolute turd. Got to be careful. You've got to be careful. You got to be careful. You got to be careful. Junior banks lead the economy. They always do. But people are like, oh, and that's why the GDP. I mean, GDP is expected to come in this week on Friday, 1.3%. Not good. When it was 3 and 4%, supposedly. Again, everything gets revised down. XBI, again, this is another economic, like I would say, interest rate sensitive sector. Keep an eye on this. Check this out. 50-day. Again, I mean, I don't really have a play. I mean, there's not much on it. I just watch it. Again, this is why you should always watch the market as a whole. USO, a little overbought. I mean, oil had a nice ride, right? Up at 86 or something. Yeah. UNG, again, I don't like the UNG. No. Again, KLD is the trade, but we talked about taking profits. If you short in the 70s and 80s, just let it play out. Look for bounces. XOP, again, this is not something that looks strong. If you think the future is good, oil and gas should be holding up. 200-day, chopping to lower lows, lower highs. ExxonMobil, again, we talked about this one being oversold near term, bouncing. I mean, that's a downtrend. Valero, again, we talked about the gasoline names not leading. MPC, not leading. Be careful. CVE, again, we like this name long term. Pulling back. Occidental, again, Buffett selling calls left and right. You can't sell them fast enough. He's buying a stock, but he's selling calls. He's printing money. He's using what's called the printing press technique. He's selling calls, selling puts, selling calls, selling puts, selling calls, selling puts, selling. Think about how much money he's making. Enough every time where you can buy another couple million shares. It's literally genius. EQT, again, we like this name long term, but again, let the natural gas names pull back. Last but not least, Flex, LN, Jizzle, right? We will be natural gas exporters, zero doubt in my mind. The stock looks right. Congress is buying it. It has a juicy dividend yield of 11.9%. Be patient. Okay. For the weekend, check out the weeklies. Do yourself a favor. Not so great looking. If you have any questions, reach out. Check out the Discord room. Hit me up if you want to join the Calendly. Always here to help. What else can I say? I'm here for you. Peace out. Have a great one. Talk to you soon.